Alright, so I wound up diving right into Jak X Combat Racing after finishing Jak 2. And I'm not gonna lie, I got pretty excited when it was time to dive in because the other Naughty Dog racing themed spinoff, Crash Team Racing, was a very special game for me. The first game that I really got invested in and wound up kickstarting my love for the medium. Granted, I knew this was going to be a bit different given the title and even the box art and general direction the series took. But it's actually kind of funny because when I was playing the first Jak and Daxter, I was kind of thinking, man, this really should have been Crash 4. And playing through this one, it's like, man, this should have really have been what Crash Tag Team Racing was. I didn't realize they came out like really close together. And I don't know, for me, Crash Tag Team Racing was more of a rail shooter mini game compilation. Since the racing was so bad, I always wound up just being the gunner. Actually, this might be the first time I really played a racing game with this much of a focus on combat. The closest things I could think of are I played a little bit of the arcade Spy Hunter. And someone growing up, I remember playing Vigilante 8 with them. Ironically enough, on PS1, instead of Twisted Metal, they had one instead of the other there for whatever reason, even though Twisted Metal's the more popular, iconic one if you had a PS1. My general opinion, no, I mean, it's pretty solid, pretty fun. I think I still prefer kart racers, mainly because I felt like you have a little more control in them. I mean, don't get me wrong, you got your blue shells, you have your lucky green shells, but, you can set up a pretty solid defense. Where here you have several items you really can't defend against. Like you have this triple missile thing that unless you get a shield defensive item, you'll only be able to block one of the missiles and the other two will probably lead to your death. Or you have the turret gun, which you can, stop using once someone uses up their defense and have plenty of ammo to get them once you're past that. In addition to their own version of the blue shell or the lightning power-up. And damn, I felt like whenever you died, it wasn't just going back to, second, maybe third. I felt like you were fourth at best, but more often than not, fifth or sixth. So you gotta climb your way all the way back up there too, which, I don't know, maybe this was all intentional. Obviously they want more of a focus on the combat aspect of it. But I don't know, at the same time it's a little more nerve-wracking about maybe, and it didn't happen a lot, but if you get hit late race and have to start all over. This is a mild spoiler for one event towards the end of the game, but there is one event that's brutal towards the end of the game where you lose pretty much all control. Both your attack and defensive items are blocked. And man, I could have maybe have seen one or the other, so you still have at least a little control, but without, the ability to defend yourself or to be able to get back up the pack quickly. It was a really brutal, kind of luck-based feeling event that had me nervous. I was happy that was the only time that happened. Also, compared to something like Crash Team Racing or Mario Kart, I felt the courses were a little less memorable. I really feel like part of that is because they are so long. Which, granted, they do adjust, you do 2 laps instead of 3, and I don't feel like any really overstay their welcome per event. But I don't know, it's harder to sort of get really a groove or a good picture of the entire course. You sort of might remember more sections than the whole course itself. And that's partially due to the fact that I don't know the exact way it's set up, but it almost feels like Need for Speed, where you'll have, instead of one big open area, you have four, and then they'll make different courses out of that general map, and sometimes you'll have an overlap between locations or specific sections. Either that, or maybe one was giving you a little bit of trouble, or honestly, maybe it reminded you of a section from one of the Jak games, which is actually something I never really felt a lot in these types of games, but I felt it a couple times here, even if it wasn't necessarily a one-to-one. Like, I don't think there's any Jak 1 locations per se, but there was sort of a beach area at one course and a fortress in the middle of a snow area in another course that reminded me of locations from that game. And Haven City was here, but it felt different. And how I would say even some of the city section of Crash City, which I believe was new in this game, almost felt a bit like sections of Haven City from Jak 2. But then with the Haven City sections, certain parts of the city or the sewer or the temple area felt completely different. Something that I really liked from this game was the variety of game modes. I mean, honestly, I didn't think there was a bad one in there, and it kept things really fresh and fun throughout the entire adventure mode. Shout out to Freeze Frame Rally, which is what I have in the background right now, being sort of the relic run equivalent from Crash Team Racing, one of the few ways that they were able to make time trials in these kinds of games actually fun. I don't know what the development was like with this game. Like, I know Jak 3 came out the prior year, but diving into this game almost felt like it was coming off of Jak 2. I believe one area with the courses is from Jak 3. But yeah, no exclusive characters or anything from it, other than Jak himself's appearance from 3 being a secret unlockable. I don't know, I did see some spoilers from that game. I'm surprised that they didn't bring in Cyborg Errol, or whatever his name was, who was kind of your racing rival from 2. I think that would have made a lot of sense and was a general idea and concept that would have fit even without Jak 3's concept, or even feeling like, I don't know, it makes so much sense here to where I think it might still be a surprise when he shows up in 3. I know Tess kind of gets a redesign too, but I think she could have been a good secret character too. She was sort of the one character who was sort of there with everyone at the end of Jak 2 who felt kind of missing here. And I'm surprised they didn't even go a little bit deeper with some of the playable characters, like, I don't know, adding Stamos, one of, 4 characters who was in every game. This time, finally getting a playable role, or, I don't know, maybe having a hologram of Krug that, played a big role in the story. Or there's sort of another character gets a spoiler-y redesign towards the end of the game. Then I'm surprised they didn't just also make playable. I mean, we have multiple versions of Jak already as secret unlockables. I will say I did 100% adventure mode, but I don't know if I have the motive to 100% the whole game, since you need to do a lot of grinding in order to get enough precursor eggs, which I guess are plentiful now again. Or I don't know, maybe they're supposed to be replicas or something, but you need a ridiculous amount to, fully upgrade every vehicle, unlock everything from the in-game shop that they have. I'm going to go through everything in mirror mode, not the whole adventure mode, but just every course one more time, which was a nice addition too. I'm pretty sure Crash Team Racing didn't have it, although I know it's not uncommon for the genre. Appreciated regardless. And I might go because I saw high scores weren't set. I guess certain event types at certain tracks weren't in story mode, maybe like a handful in each event type. So I'll probably do all of them and sort of call it there, see how much I'm able to unlock with all of that. Another thing I will say, not emphasizing teams in this game was an interesting choice too, since there's a clear, distinct two groups within the cast of playable characters. Actually, for the hell of it, a lot of the time, at least in the non-arena events, if I was doing decently, trying to not target Jack's allies and go after more of the rival characters. I don't know, felt like a bit of a missed opportunity to at least, I don't know, not have some sort of special game mode where you can kind of assist each other in different races and that. There are a few arena modes that do have team options, but a little more would have been nice, but not a super big deal. Will say I do prefer the soundtrack of Crash Team Racing, just another little thing I thought of. I think part of what hurts this soundtrack, though, is that it is, once again, more like Need for Speed, where it just sort of shuffles the general playlist as opposed to different areas having dedicated songs, which, I mean, it works, but personally, I don't prefer that approach. But yeah, I'm kind of even curious. Maybe I'll check out some more games like this. It was pretty fun.